Major chords. We're going to go through the 5 major open chords. The reason why we call them open chords is because there is one or more string that we're not going to press down on, or we're not going to fret. So we're going to look at the 5 major open chords. A rule of thumb when you're playing any of these chords is, I would say, to strum it first, then pick through the notes, then strum it again. The reason why is because when you strum it the first time, you'll be able to hear right away which notes you can or you cannot hear. When you strum it individually, you can figure out exactly which note needs work. When you strum it the third time, after you've already picked it through each note, you should be able to have a cleaner chord sound. So let's introduce you to the A chord. Now, the A chord is one of those chords I show people in the beginning because I feel like it's one of those chords that's a little easier to learn. We're going to show you 2 different ways to play it, but let's get right to the business here of the fingering. So we're going to have an X on the 6th string. We're going to have an O on the 5th string, so that's your first string. It's going to be open. Your first finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Your second finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then your 3rd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, and then the 1st string is going to be open. So there's your A. So you can see I strummed it through first, and then I hit each note individually. Now let's say, for instance, my 3rd finger is a little not as strong, and maybe it's muting there, it's not really pressing down hard enough. You can clearly hear there's something wrong. But if I keep trying to figure out where the problem is, eventually I get it, right? So there's another way that you can play the A chord, and here's what we're going to do. Instead of using your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd finger, we're going to replace it with our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger. So now your 2nd finger is on the 4th string of the 2nd fret, your 3rd finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and your 4th finger is on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, and again, your 1st string is open. So there's your A. So you may be asking, well, why would I play it this way, or why not play it with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? And I'll explain that a little bit later, but just know that you've got 2 options with the A chord. Let's show you the D major chord. I talked about the D major chord earlier, but I didn't explain how to put it together. When you look at the D major chord, you've got 2 X's there. You've got one on the 6th, one on the 5th string. The 4th string is open. Your 1st finger goes down now on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And we're going to use our 2nd finger next, right? In the order of the 2nd fret of the 1st string, and then put your 3rd finger in the middle, but it's on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Again, if you feel like I'm going too fast, you can always go back and watch this again, but here's the D chord. Again, the D chord. So once again, you strum it, you pluck through it individually, strum it again. We want to make sure that each chord sounds clear and concise. The next chord I'm going to show you is E major. This is one of those chords that uses all the strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an open string on the 6th. We're going to put our 1st finger down, and that's going to be on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. Lay your 2nd finger down on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then right behind it, you're going to put your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So here's your E. Let's pluck through it individually. One more time. The E chord. So now we've got A, D, and E. So those are 3 open major chords. Let's move on to the next chord. The G major chord. We're going to start by putting our 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, followed by our 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. We're going to lay down our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. The rest of the strings where it says 0 or O, open. Okay? So those strings are open in the middle. And again, you're using all the notes. pick through each note. And again, full chord, there's your G chord. Let me show you another way that you can play the G chord. We can use, instead of our first, second, third finger, we can use our second, third, and fourth finger. So we're going to put our second finger on the second fret of the fifth string. We're going to put our third finger on the third fret of the sixth string, and then you're going to put your pinky on the third fret of the first string. And there's your G chord. The C major chord. Now, sometimes people have problems with this chord, and I think a lot of it has to do with the stretching of the fingers. I always think of the C chord as a diagonal. And I want you to think about most of these chords and their shapes, because down the road you start thinking about the shapes and it really helps you to remember the picture of what they look like and the formations. So the C, again, I think of as a diagonal. To play the C, we're going to X out the sixth string. We're not going to play that string. We're going to put our first finger on the first fret of the second string. Okay. We're going to skip the third string, go to the fourth string, and put our second finger, okay, on the second fret of the fourth string, and then lay down your third finger on the third fret of the fifth string. So here's your C major chord. Individual notes. Once again, the C chord. Well, congratulations, you made it through the 5 open major chords. The next part we're going to talk about are the minor chords. So again, if there's any trouble at all with these major chords, go back and play them again and then move on to the next part. See you in the minor chords.